When they get rained on, they don't dissolve. Wait, Colin's not coming? We go to closed session. Oh.
Listen, I'm working on it. I do so much different stuff. I watch y'all. I want you to come. I will.
Yeah, you are.
That's right.
I'm so high up the cold water and great. I did it back in the whole was a war day and I had the Irish guys getting one.
If you want, you could come to 7 a.m. Sunrise Rotary meeting on that.
No, we should ban it.
It's 50 plus or minus 55. We got to 60 just as my turn. And then we'll see. So that's what happened.
So it made us not gonna make.
Yeah.
We weren't.
Are you going to be there Saturday?
Saturday?
You're not present.
I'm not pressing. You know,
I got roped into.
so what's the?
It's Sharon and Davis. We're really leadership. All president of all clubs.
Anybody else need to check what I'm saying? Yes. Anyone, because they want to add.
I did. Yeah. But it's in person, I think.
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah, sorry. Morning.
But see, I'm the governor's assistant. So I there's some items that find it.
Yep, go for it. It's at the
What time?
it's at 9, ends at 12:30. If he does coffee and donuts, I want to feed us a box lunch. Let's see if I can see if it's on my calendar.
I'll look to see.
It's at the Music Center of South Central Michigan. Yeah, 9-1. Although they did say in the email. But you should if you're then you need to be going.
All right, folks, we will go ahead and get started. It is 6:01 p.m. Given that we want to be conscientious of everybody's time. If we can start with a moment of silence, please. And if we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For those of you that are in chambers that has a cell phone, please make sure that it's either off or on silent. City Clerk Domingo, if you'll take roll call for us, please.
Councilmember Williams.
Present.
Reed. Jackson. Here. Lawler.
Here.
Davis.
Present.
French.
Here.
And Mayor Snyder.
Here, I have a motion to approve of the agenda.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? All right, so we will go ahead and turn this over to the public hearing in public comments, I'm sorry. Please keep in mind that proper decorum is required, so that you may address council as a whole. And if you would like to stand, give us your name and address. 3 minutes will be given to you. So nobody wants to make a public comment? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn to closed session?
So moved.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Reed.
To go to.
No.
To go to closed session.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, so Jackson.
Councilmember Reed. No. Jackson. No. Lawler.
No.
Davis.
Yes.
French.
Yes.
Williams.
No.
And Mayor Snyder.
Yes.
Well, I don't support going into closed session, so I would like to oppose from that. I'd like to be able to play a 3-minute video that I sent to Jim.
But that's not on the agenda.
Has to do with it.
Colin, can you hear us?
Yes,
We can vote on it. We can vote on it.
I can hear you.
Okay. So did you hear the motion?
Well, I heard that there's a video that is supposed to be, or that wants to be played.
Yes, but it's
Okay.
not on the agenda.
It has something to do with the agenda.
Well,
Attorney Darko.
okay, so if it is part of the discussion for the agenda item, then the appropriate time to address it would be when you get to the agenda item.
Okay.
So you heard that the motion was not in favor of going to closed session.
Well, I heard that there was a vote not to go, or there was not a sufficient vote to go to closed session.
Yes. correct.
So then you would move on to your consent calendar.
Okay. We don't have consent calendar items. So then we're moving on to the approval to remove the EDC board members for cause.
Okay, before going, we're gonna, that's it. I'll appeal that ruling. We don't want, I don't want to go into closed session, and we agreed on that. And I want a motion to allow me to be able to play this 3-minute video.
Colin, were you gonna make a comment?
Well, so I didn't hear a motion so, okay, let me. As a matter of procedure, somebody needs to move to approve the agenda item A, and there needs to be a second to open discussion. Once that occurs, then you can have a discussion about, you know, what's going to be part of your discussion.
We need a motion.
Go ahead. A motion to remove the EDC Board of Directors for cause. Is that what you're saying, Colin? Because that shit went back to the mayor's hand.
You're making a motion.
I make it correct. So I'm just saying that motion went back to you for you to discuss it, then we make it the motion.
There has to be,
Somebody support. Thank you.
and they're open for discussion.
Yeah, when open for discussion, but before we discussion, I sent a video to Jill. You should have it. I didn't send it till about 5:45. And I would like to make a motion for that video to be approved for me to be able to for everyone to be able to listen to. She needs to look at it and see if she has it. It's in her email. She hasn't looked in her email. Okay. Okay, so can we pause and let her forward that to where she needs to?
Councilman French.
Two things. One, I don't think we need a motion to show the video. I think Colin told us that once we approve the motion to discuss, that the movie becomes part of the discussion. What I would like to know is what the video pertains to. What's it about before we view it?
That's not a problem.
Why is it not proper for me to?
I said, that's not a problem. I didn't
Oh,
say-
I think you said,
No, I would never do that to you. It's proper.
So-
Correct.
so what is the movie about? And
It's not a movie. It's a video from November 2019, I think 2019, of the information that Cullen has already given us and a private information he sent to us for us to basically review the act that he showed us, but he's already answered this before in this video, so we need to hear what he has already answered before, which is November 18, 2019. And that has to do with removing anyone from the EDC board.
and how is that different than the opinion that he sent us by email yesterday?
So we need to listen to it so that we can find that out.
Councilwoman
Yes,
Davis.
I'm wondering, why didn't we have the opportunity to see the video before we arrived here?
I guess because I've been doing my due diligence while I was working all day. When I was talking to Cullen, seriously, I called Cullen last night. Cullen didn't return my phone call because I think he might have been asleep or didn't hear it. So then when I did have a chance to call him, I called him during my time when I was actually instructing other teachers today. And so during that time, I've been doing my due diligence of making sure, as it has been, because, you know, we did get another email, right? Did you guys see that, the email from the other attorney, making sure that we had a cause? And to my knowledge, we have a cause. It's not just because of something, but we do have a cause. So I thought before we went through this whole process, that we give all of you here on this board the due diligence to do it correctly and not to do it half like it has been. So I would like for that video to be shown. It's only 3 minutes. If you guys trust me, then let's go for it. If you don't, then say nay.
Councilman French, if you have another comment.
No. Full button. There you go.
Now turn off that one that's up at the top.
Because of all the other stuff running, it might not.
I want to have more hair then.
Stop.
I'm sure we can find it on. Originally.
You give me a minute, I can get this.
We can give you a minute.
Want to have discussion?
Yeah.
I mean, or do you want to give us like
I mean, I have something.
synopsis?
I got a synopsis for you.
Okay, they can't get it to work.
I believe you can, but I'll give you synopsis here. So, I mean, just as he's going, we do need to hear what Cullen has said, but it is telling you basically what was said. Because when this information was put on the agenda, it is talking about a cause, okay? And the act that we were told to look at, correct? He speaks of this information on this date, basically.
So what was he saying?
So I prefer that you hear it directly from him on here. But it says right here what he was saying. Did I give you the whole complete? Did I say one for myself?
Councilman Burke?
What is transcribed here is the statute doesn't define what cause is.
It does.
I can tell you that the EDC bylaws do reference removal for, and I quote, inefficiency, malfeasance, misconduct, or neglect of duty. I don't think those are exclusive definitions. I think those are some examples. I think something that I can offer to council is that cause could also include anything that would call into question the director's ability to perform their duties as EDC director, anything that's inconsistent with federal, state, or local law. Those are all examples of what could constitute cause. It's a fairly broad term. And so hopefully that answers questions. And follow up.
He has it, so you.
was this verbal opinion provided on November 18th, 2019, done with Attorney Harkness having forethought and time to evaluate his response, or was he speaking off the cuff? Since we have not had a closed session to talk about an official opinion that he presented to us this week. So what I hear Mayor Pro Tem Jackson talking about is taking an official opinion that was delivered on Monday and having that being superseded by a verbal conversation made 4 years ago. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I mean, what you're hearing is that at this act right here that was given to us to look and evaluate has not changed. The same, it has not changed from 2019.
But-
No, what he gave us to look at in our email has not changed. Him and I have discussed some of this already on the phone. And if there's a cause, he'll tell you himself, if there's a cause, okay? You can't simply just say because of this individual. Now, when I came up here and spoke that day, I said, I'm not speaking on behalf of Virgin. I'm speaking on behalf, did we do the right thing for our city? And this is why I'm bringing this to your up to the table, to the board today. What was done on that day with Cullen speaking on November the 18th, 2019, and what he has spoken on August the 15th, or it might have been yesterday, okay? We have the right, because this is broad, if there's a call.
Mayor,
I want you guys to hear this first and do your due diligence before going any further to do this discussion. So you do know what you're talking about. Thank you so much.
Colin, did you have a comment?
yeah, so is what Councilman French a transcribed synopsis of this video from 4 years ago? Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well then, so what Councilman French just read is not from 4 years ago, is not inconsistent with the written opinion that I provided counsel that's still subject to attorney-client privilege. It's not in any way inconsistent. The only thing that has changed since that time is I've provided you with binding case law that further clarifies what constitutes cause. And so if the idea is, well, somehow what was said in 2019 is different than 2023, that's only true to the extent that the information you've been provided in 2023 is more detailed and now supplanted with published case law. Because in 2019, as Councilman French indicated, I had to give a response off the cuff without having the benefit of time to draw on cases. But the one is not inconsistent with the other. One is just more detailed than the other.
So, Cullen, my words to you would be, I know you had to do your due diligence before you even spoke. I'm quite sure you wouldn't have just spoke on a whim back in 2019, being our lawyer. And then on 2023, you decide to give us some more information that you just found out about?
No, I didn't just find out about this, Councilwoman Jackson. Actually, some of this case law that was provided to council was provided in another memo that I drafted to a previous council regarding another matter. So I was able to draw from that because it's come up in the past. Now, at the 2019 meeting, I didn't have the case law at my fingertips, but the information that I provided in 2019 is accurate and is consistent with the information I have provided you in 2023.
Okay, so the information that was provided to us today, August the 15th, 2023, from another lawyer, okay? If we have cause, just as you and I spoke of, okay? If we have cause, we can go forward. So I want the public to hear what you talked about November 18th, 2019, and then we can further go with our discussion and go and do what we need to do. Because it's not like really a debate about it, Cullen, because we already discussed some of this, and then I did listen to it over and over myself.
Okay, thank you then.
That be able to get it to work.
Oh, good.
He's so funny.
And the process for removing somebody from a board, essentially reverses that. In the end, the council needs to vote. And I'll allow it, not allow it, I'll ask the city attorney to discuss that, explain that, what the basis is. What it says is true, I think, the caveat to that, though, is in addition to a motion, and council removed, there would also have a follow shown as required by the PC state statute. So second statement that is a direct link to the cause or cause that is very good to go by. The statute doesn't define what cause is. I can tell you that the EDC bylaws do reference removal for and I quote inefficiency, malfeasance, misconduct, or neglect of duty. I don't think that that's I don't think those are exclusive definitions. I think those are some examples. I think something that I can offer to council is that cause could also and that would fall under the director ability to perform duties as the EDC director. Anything that's inconsistent with federal, state, or the law, those are all examples of what constitute cause, the fairly broad term. And so hopefully that answers your question. Councilwoman Water speak and then come back.
So, because it's a broad question, cause. I think, as a representative of precinct 1 and everybody else, if it's broad, then how is there a decision yet? So in other words, if there's if the EDC is wanting her to be moved because it's cause, but it's so broad, it's not a clear understanding of what.
So the EDC is acting for removal, the council is deciding whether or not to remove it. And I'm just offering that the bylaws provide some basis for what cause could be. And ultimately, the council will have to decide what constitutes sufficient cause.
And from my understanding is the definition is broad, which means that it's not narrowly defined. It is broad and what can be included in.
So I guess for context. Was being looked at being
I don't know. I mean, I can go there, but I didn't bring it because of who it was being looked at. But it's still the same thing. It's somebody on the EDC board.
So it was a board member?
It's the EDC,
It was a
board
board
of-
member.
EDC, yeah, board member or of the director, but it still would be no different than them having these 3 individuals that are on here. Because there was no information given to us why anyone was whatever. Let go or what the assumption was or anything. No one even came and talked to us, didn't even bring a couple of us together and say, this is what we're going, this is what they're asking us to do, right? Is that we conversate with others to let them know why we want to do things that we want to do. And I just believe EDC could have done that, told us, okay, we need to take this further than where they took it or however they're going to do it, presented it to us, and then came on that day and did whatever they had to do. Okay, but that wasn't, no one said anything to us about anything. And then when we're sitting here in the chair, sitting here in this seat, and we asked those questions, I remember the exact words without even going to that darn video. It said that that individual needed to, first they couldn't lead, but they needed to be able to work with more than one side. What in the world does that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah. We talking.
And then the individual, if you're talking about that, it's like, okay, they're leading the board into the parliamentary procedures. And I'm like, what's going on? You can't lead, but you're gonna lead this whole board and what to do and how to do to get rid of a person. Something's wrong here. I spoke of that day. And I'm still standing on that right now. There's something wrong with whatever's going on this EDC board. It's not right. And that's calling people after somebody say, come out and support, and telling them, don't come out and support. You can't tell me there's nothing going on in this city on that EDC board. Now, anybody on the top gonna call back, and after somebody else from out here tell someone to come out and see what's going on, and you're gonna call them, or whoever it is, call them and say, don't come? No, 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 we don't do this. This city has a right to let us know what they would like for us to do. But if that EDC board wants us to do something different, they need to talk to us off to the side, one or two of us, whatever, so we can get a clear understanding when we do something like this. And like I said, I'm not standing here for Virgie. I'm standing here for the city of Albion to make sure whatever is going on that EDC board is correct.
Councilman French?
So, I assume that the EDC board meeting went into closed session to discuss Virgie's position, or was that a public conversation? So they articulated cause for dismissal? Not once.
Without going into specifics, details of the reason why, I think the chairman did the best of his ability
Okay.
to try to explain that.
Madam Mayor. Please, thank you. Cullen?
Yes.
All right, I got a quick question. Well, better yet, let me say this. During the EDC meeting, in which the CEO was let go, the 3 members who voted not to
Terminate.
not to remove the CEO, voiced their concerns about not knowing why she was being terminated. This is somewhat of a canary in the coal mine as to if there were violations of the Public Meetings Act. Why would the members who came to vote her termination all be okay and in the know while the other members of the board were not? This is after she had received a satisfactory review in her employment status at the EDC. I believe the clause here is the possible violation of the Open Meetings Act, and there being a consensus in the removal without the rest of the board knowing, or all of the board members knowing, or being made clear that there was a reason why the CEO needed to be removed, and removed so hastily.
Sorry, was that a question? I'm not sure.
Here we go.
Well, here's the question. If the members of the board show up to vote, and some members know what they're voting on and feel comfortable in voting, and other members have no clues why they're there and voice that, is that grounds enough to look at questioning a violation of the Open Meetings Act?
So what I would say is that if council has a suspicion that there's been a violation of the Open Meetings Act or any other act, it should be treated just like any other potential violation of law, and council has a discretion to have an investigation to see if, in fact, there was a violation of the Open Meetings Act. Because that can have both civil and criminal consequences if there was a violation of the Open Meetings Act. Now, that being said, I have never seen Ms. Ammerman's contract She entered into that between the board and herself, and I believe it was drafted by the EDC's own attorney. But my understanding is she's an at-will employee, and as an at-will employee, an employer is not required by law to articulate a reason for dismissal. The only caveat to that is that the EDC articles of incorporation basically indicate that when an employee is removed, it has to be deemed in the basically the best interest of the corporation as determined by the board. But to get back to your main part of your question is, if you think there's been a violation of an act, then you should have an investigation and base your action on the outcome of that investigation.
We'll get to that as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now that we have gotten that out the way about what for cause is this the time that I want to make a motion?
Well, I mean, so we have, I'm hoping everybody saw the memo, legal memo that came across as well from the EDC's attorney in regards to, you know, his interpretation as well, and his urging the council not to do this as well, because it is beyond the authority of council to do this, one. But two, then this would leave the EDC disabled, because you are taking away 4 members from the board.
They can still operate.
If there's others that end up resigning because of this, then
Appoint someone,
it would be disabled.
appoint someone.
So that's the thing. So
Can I
we're
make the
gonna have-
motion or not?
I'm not done.
Okay.
Please.
All right.
So you have Cullen's legal opinion. Again, this is beyond the reach of council to do, beyond the authority without having true cause, that we will be open to litigation yet again if this is decided to get passed. We have the attorney for the EDC's opinion that I'm hoping that you all saw, that again states the same thing, that it's against the reach, it's against your authority. Again, opened up for litigation. So that's just something that I just want to make sure that we are all mindful of, trying to be good stewards of the city. Also, you know, we keep saying how people are watching. We need to be mindful that there's a lot of money that could be coming into this community. And we need to have stability. And if we do not have an EDC board to have function, then that stability is gone. Councilman Lawler?
Thank you so much. So am I able to make my motion?
Well, Mayor.
Motion.
Jackson.
Yeah,
The motion's already on the floor.
okay.
So Mayor Pro Tem Jackson, if you have something to add.
Motion's on the floor. Okay, I can't go no further.
So
So I guess, I mean,
I have something to say.
okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I agree with the motion to remove the listed EDC Board of Directors for cause. For voting to remove the EDC CEO after the conducted performance evaluation determined she met the expectations. My reasons for cause is: number one, board members terminated the former CEO after acknowledging she had met expectations of her evaluations. Board members showed a lack of transparency about the process that resulted in the former CEO's termination. Board members did not share full information with other board members regarding alleged performance concerns and the need for termination. Board members ignored the former CEO's record of support for underrepresented populations which was one of the priorities council members asked for during the hiring process for the former CEO. So that is my clause.
Councilman French.
Given that we've all gotten this information in the last 12 hours, I would move to table this until the next meeting, so we will have time to assemble as much information as possible to make a responsible decision. It does not need a second.
It is a second.
A table motion supersedes all other motions.
Do we have any opinions on tabling this until we can have time to get information and insight?
I would do it, I would be in favor of tabling it because we've had two pieces of information that maybe some people know about on the council that others didn't know about, including the November 18, 2019 verification or statement. So hopefully if we table it, we can at least be on the same page, because I've been caught off guard twice in this one meeting. This is a personal opinion.
Mayor Pro Tem Jackson.
I do not agree to table it because what Council Member Williams did say, it was already said in that day of the EDC meeting when he told us all that he was chairing that meeting and he should not have been chairing that meeting. He had called so many people already. I believe that investigation was done on that day. And we still would be doing justice. We would be doing this town of disjustice. Also, yeah, and I might didn't say it right. That's all fine. Thank you. But this right here, catching anybody off guard, it was shown. The date, it's on YouTube. So if you guys got caught off guard on that, I apologize, but I did bring all the information to all of you. Did not give it to no one, did not talk to anyone about it. I brought it here to you guys so that you could have this, okay? No different than this 12-hour thing catching me off guard. And people want to know why it wasn't come out. I was caught off guard, working and everything, but I needed to do my due diligence to make sure that the individuals that put this on here, is this right, wrong, or indifference? But there is too many wrongs to make anyone right that has been done from that EDC board when we all could have been put in the light.
Councilman French.
So I think that when we as a council receive information from our city to make decisions that we are responsible for, those packets get to us days in advance. And we are about to vote in a way that is in a violation of our role as a city council, as expressed an opinion by our city attorney that you are uninterested in participating in a closed session to discuss. I just worry that these 4 members that you're asking to remove have resources and may just sue us. And then we're going to end up having to pay for a lawsuit that is superfluous because we don't have the information behind why Ms. Ammerman was terminated. And there's probably a reason for that, because when someone is let go, one doesn't want to sully the reputation of the person who's being let go so that person has a chance to seek other employment. If a violation of the Open Meetings Act was had, I would like to know about that. If that violation happened at the level of the board level, if that happened at the level of Ms. Ammerman meeting in the violation, I want to know that too. I don't know any of that. I know that this council in years past has skirted around Open Meetings Act by meeting two people here and two people here and overlapping so that decisions can be made. That's the way people do politics. One or two people meeting, have a conversation, trying to figure out consensus before the meeting. We all do it. We're not violating the Open Meetings Act by doing that. It's when four people get together in a room and decide that it's a violation. All this to say, I need more information to know if we want to be truly transparent, we need to know what the violation was. What was the cause? And even if we know that, we are treading on incredibly thin ice if we try to vote out the EDC board membership. It's just not our job. It's not our job.
So the members that are listed for removal, 3 of them are current executive board members, and 1 is a previous board chair. So all of these folks are privy to information that the rest of us are not. Because they are the executive board. They're the ones that make the determinations, have the information, deal with the conflicts and concerns that may have come up. They are the ones that have that information about personal conversations with Miss Ammerman, about coaching, about changing. So they're the ones that had that information. As I told Vicki Clark at the EDC meeting, I think she came in, I was privy to some because people were contacting me wanting to know who they need to contact, and I directed them to the executive board. Because I am not a person on the executive, but I directed those folks to the executive board to talk. So, Vicki, I know I made that comment, I think there you are. I made that comment to you at the EDC meeting. That's the only reason why I know why some of this stuff came up. But I directed it to the exec board. So the folks that you are asking to have removed, yes, they are privy to that information. Where the rest of us may not have that. And for the EDC board to come to council, that's not common practice. And that's not how the bylaws are written. So I understand that you would have liked to know, but there was no protocol that stated that they had to confer with council before the action was taken. So again, I think that is where some of the mixed messaging is coming from, that it should have come to council, but that was not the procedure or process. Councilwoman Lawler.
Thank you so much. I agree that we don't know why they decided to get rid of the former CEO of the EDC, but today I am here. I talked to Cullen and he was worried about a clause. I have 4 of them and I am ready to call the question. And I need someone to second it, and I need 5 votes.
A second.
Thought that there was a motion to table that has to be voted down first.
She had a motion first and then you tabled it.
The motion to table does supersede, so that needs a vote. So motion to table. We can get a roll call on that, please.
Councilmember Williams,
This is the motion to table? No.
Reed,
No.
Jackson,
No.
Lawler.
No.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes.
I'll go with the question. It's already been seconded. Let's go.
Yep.
Councilmember Reed,
Question. What is the question?
It's the motion before us.
What is the motion?
to call the question. Then vote on the motion.
Yes. Jackson,
Yes.
Waller,
Yes.
Davis,
No,
French,
No.
Williams,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
No.
Mayor,
Yes, Colin.
just so council is aware, and because this has come up in the past, a motion to call the question is basically a motion to end debate. And so under our rules of procedure, that requires a supermajority, which would be 5 of 7.
Wow, isn't that interesting? It's not, it's just.
So did it succeed or no?
No, because
No.
it needs a supermajority.
Okay, so continue.
So just kind of going back to the legal side of things. Again, council has no authority to remove board members.
It's not true.
So even the fact that this is something that you all want to do.
Hmm.
We have no authority to do it. Councilwoman Davis.
what my concern is, we have hired legal authority. EDC has legal representation. We received letters from both individuals or both representatives warning us this is not the appropriate way to handle this. And liability and accountability and those good words is something that we don't want to get involved in. So I would prefer to listen to our legal authority as well as the authority from EDC regarding this matter, or do more research to, to keep the city from being liable.
I'll let her speak first.
Councilwoman Love.
Thank you so much. I am reading in here, where Cullen says that ultimately, council will have to decide what constitutes sufficient cause. I have 4 of them. Me and Cullen talked about cause. I have 4 of them. So,
Mayor Pro Tem Jackson.
Yes, when speaking with Cullen as well, he made sure as well that we had a cause. He said, there's a cause, okay? And then let's go over here to the attorney that sent us this information. And I'm gonna go over to page 2 because you guys have it. And he says, the EDC board terminating an employee is not on the list for cause. Reason in the bylaws. So he's saying the same thing. If you got a cause, that's different. If you don't have a cause and you're just saying you want to get rid of the individuals on the EDC board just because they fired Virgie, that's not a cause, but it has to be a cause. And then he went into a little bit more that, if you don't have a board that has this many people, then they can't do this, that, and what they need to do. But I'm quite sure we do know how to do that as well. They could do the same thing. So I'm quite sure Andy has a little bit more to add to that.
Well, just to finish what Mayor Pro Tem Jackson said. The EDC board terminating an employee is not on the list of for cause reasons in the bylaws and does not compare to the items that are on the list. There's nothing in the law, in quotes, that allows or justifies the council removing an EDC board member because the board terminated an employee. As an employer, the EDC has the right and authority to have and to terminate employees as part of the usual course of business. The council does not have the authority to interfere with that usual course of business. So I think that's what our mayor was saying. So I would ask Councilwoman Lawler to read the 4 causes that she listed before. So we all know what those causes are again.
No problem. But first I would like to say this is not about Verdi. This is about, my causes are about the decisions that they made, not decisions they made as for the city of Albion. Because Albion was getting resources, lots of them. Albion was getting different people coming to our EDC director asking for help, and she did. So these 4 reasons right here that I will read again speaks to that. Board members terminated the former CEO after acknowledging she had met expectations in her evaluation. It's number 1.
That's not a cause as stated by.
Number 2, board members showed a lack of transparency about the process that resulted in the former CEO's termination. It's 2. Board members did not share full information, and we just talked about it. I just talked about it. With all other board members regarding alleged performance concerns and the needs for termination. Number 4, board members ignored the former CEO's record of support for underrepresented populations. Virgie was at a lot of Black business organizations, helped them. So I think that's what that's speaking to. Not only just Black, maybe women also. Which was one of the priorities we discussed in the hiring process. Did we not? These are things that we decided we wanted to see in a CEO. We saw them, and now here we are.
So these are just some of the items that were asked, but there's also other items that were on that list of responsibilities.
I'm just giving you the 4 reasons that I came up with,
Okay.
because I called the meeting. So I'm putting it on the floor about why I called the meeting.
We can give a long list.
No,
We can give a list now. She started like that. That's a private dog.
I'm not denying that Virgie did great work with the community.
Yeah, but because I want to be respectful. I don't want to go really off into that because I don't want to bring other people into that, into what was other things that we could have heard, should have, what all that, because I don't think that's appropriate and it's not right. But oh my God. If we really did know some of the things that was yet going on behind closed doors, I don't think we would be right here doing it. And it's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong.
And the most that I heard people say was they couldn't get along with it. Well, that is no reason to get rid of a person because you can't get along with her.
I'm not going there.
You got to.
Oh, we don't need to go there.
We don't need to go there.
You think one way and she thinks another, or you don't agree on everything. That's your right. But when you look at the positive more so
know.
than what the negatives is, you come out with.
But again, the executive board had the information, they had the responsibility, the executive board did. And the members that you are asking to have removed are executive board members.
How does this not appear to be vindictive? I have a question, maybe it's rhetorical. But would this motion have even come forward if Miss Ammerman had not been terminated? I doubt it. I doubt it. So I can't help but think that, I listened to the 4 lists all of them, with the exception of number 4, have to do with her termination. Whether it's a lack of transparency in the process, whether it's providing full information to all members, or the fact that they terminated her, those all are related to Ms. Ammerman's termination. So our attorneys have said that that's not sufficient cause. Number 4 is concerning, the fact that there's an accusation that the EDC board ignored the impact that Ms. Ammerman had on underrepresented populations in the city. That is a concern. But to terminate the executive board of the EDC, whose years of expertise will be greatly missed. I think that that's, I think that it's a, and what we're basically saying is that a group of elected officials with no expertise in economic development get to decide the work and action of the Economic Development Corporation in the city of Albion. That it gets to, every time a decision that gets made that they don't like, they can get rid of a board member because of it. And that doesn't allow for creativity or innovation. And so I think this is just a horrible idea.
Councilman Lawler.
Thank you so much. So the things that I read off for cause, it deals with the city of Albion. She did what she was expected to do in her evaluation for the city of Albion. There was a lack of transparency within their group. So that's concerning to the city of Albion. They didn't share full information with other board members. That's the concern to the city of Albion. And for us to be invited when we need to choose a CEO and we write down or verbally express what we want to see in a CEO, you're just ignored. You like being ignored? So those are my causes. Cullen, thank you for bringing that to my attention. And I think I'm done speaking for the night because I'm ready to vote.
So, we have all witnessed and experienced how hard it is to get members in this community to come forward to apply to be seated on any committees or boards. So we are, in essence, asking these volunteers that have served in this capacity for years that they're being removed basically because of one vote. And I understand there's other things that you had expressed as well. But as Councilman French said, if she hadn't been terminated, this probably wouldn't be coming forth. So we're terminating volunteers after years of service, of working around their full-time jobs to serve the community of Albion. We're publicly saying you're not needed, you're not wanted, you're being removed. Councilman Lawler.
Thank you so much. I think what we are saying is if a person meets the expectation of their evaluation, that should be okay. I think we're saying that if there's a lack of transparency, there's something wrong. I think we're saying that these board members didn't share information with other board members. Is that not concerning to us? Is that not concerning to us? When, I mean, when you don't share information. I won't finish. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yep. But I'm just saying that is that what we want? I mean, we want people to not feel as safe because they're asking what people fill us in. Let the people we want to get filled in. But EDC board members did not have the opportunity to get filled in. And that's not right. You know it's not right.
So normal procedures with respect to this board and many other boards is that there's an executive committee that makes human resource decisions based on information. And in an effort to keep it as private as possible, is not shared with the balance of that group. And that's what it sounds like. The executive committee of the Economic Development Corporation gets to do the personnel evaluation. If a concern or a crime or some cause is raised that needs to be discussed, the executive committee makes that call, makes that decision. And whether or not a junior member of the board gets that information in a timely way, it's disappointing, but it shouldn't be grounds for like cutting half of our board. It just makes no sense to me. It seems to me, with the little information that I have, that we're going to burn the house down because we didn't get what we wanted. Right? So we're
Is that
getting
your
terminated.
opinion?
That is
your
my
opinion?
opinion.
Okay.
That is my opinion.
Okay.
That Ms. Emmerman gets let go. And we're going to get rid of everybody that voted for it. I mean, that's what it sounds, that's what it feels like. If we wanted to really do our due diligence, we would table this conversation, we'd gather more information, we'd demand transparency from the executive board, we'd haul them in here for a meeting so that those things could be aired. And if that's what Ms. Emmerman wants, then that would be fine. But we don't know what happened behind those doors. And so I think that, we either do one thing or we do nothing.
Mayor Pro Tem Jackson.
Okay, so we talked about transparency, we talked about getting information. So why did someone have to have a special meeting for this lawyer to send anything to us?
Because we didn't ask for it.
No. He didn't have to do that. She said they don't owe us anything, but they can give us something after all those people came out. The people even asked for that information. And that would have made us all look good if they had sent us something so that we could at least say, okay, this is somewhat of what they did. No one in here can disclose Virgie's or whoever's information in HR. All of you that have these high positions, correct? We do know that, but we need to know something, some type of transparency. If this council is not transparent, they're on us like white on rice when we do something wrong. Okay? Right now, there has been a cause. It don't have to take all 4 of her causes, but she got one at least. There's a cause. And you agree with that one. You agree with the one cause, okay? And if we put in a plan, we expect also our city manager to do that, and she's doing that. We put a plan in and she's going forth, trying to get everything done that can be. And if not, then we would be bringing that to her as well. But she's doing as we ask. And we're working together diligently. And the EDC board, no, we don't have to have every I dot, every T cross. But we did ask. It was almost everyone was here except you that spoke at that meeting that day. Okay, and the mayor sat there. But we came up voicing our concerns of why. We can't get here today and act like we don't still have a concern just because we do. We'll be lying to these individuals. Okay, we do have a concern. Now, if you want to really get to talking about them suing us, well, they might as well come on, because some of them gonna get sued back. Because they have not told you everything they have done. I'm just saying. Yes, one of you spoke of one of their that has been a this or that. I'm not going to say what you said he or she is, but he or she did something wrong on this EDC board that affects every last one of these people here. And we don't talk about stuff like that, and I'm not going to say that. You and I can talk about it behind closed doors if you like, but I'm not going to say it out here in front of all of them. So we need to be careful. We truly need to be careful. Now, if they want to sue us, so be it. They're suing themselves as well. All of us got a stake in this. That's right.
So what, I guess, the one point that Andy was saying that he agreed with was the transparency part. And that's again, going back to not airing the dirty laundry of the reasons why there was a termination in place, because that's an HR policy, not to put it out in public.
Mhm, mhm. So, so,
That's the thing, like, that's where we're missing that
Mhm.
understanding, is that the executive board, that was part of their responsibility to handle that part of it.
mhm.
And they did not have an obligation to let council know, because there's nothing in place stating that.
Mhm. So, Mayor, if I may speak, I appreciate your due diligence, Mayor, I really do. And I appreciate you sticking up for the board because you appoint those individuals there. And they do have positions, okay? But when we do agree with something, we need to all take a step back, like I said before. There's something wrong, Mayor. We can't overlook this, Mayor.
But what have we agreed on?
The one thing,
Which is
that's
what?
transparency. You said that he
No,
did,
that's
okay.
what he
Oh,
was
that's what he was speaking of, but I'm just still saying, Mayor. We really can't go,
Couldn't be transparency because it's an HR issue.
but I did speak of that already. We know there's certain things that you cannot speak of in HR. We all know that for being these top dogs, you know, in these top positions. But we still can't scoot over those things, okay?
We need my scoot over.
Scoot over, we know that transparency that we're talking about, it could be, it's broad. It's very broad, to be honest, it's broad. Cause there's some things that can, I'm trying to drown you guys out, cause there is some things that can be brought to our attention. Where we won't be sued if you allow us to know those things, okay? So, yeah, so, but I'm just saying, I understand what you're saying about the transparency, and I'm still gonna say that all is still broad, the transparency. And we know that there are certain things that we're all governed to that cannot come out through HR. But there were also some things that could have led up to also whatever happened as a HR to come up of the reason of why we need to get rid of an individual. And those things can come out. That's no different if I called you and asked you about an individual, if you would hire them or not. There's things that you can say.
And it's just like, we're sitting here now having to say so on it. We don't want to air people's dirty laundry, as you say. But the thing of it is, it's good to be informed as to why something is being done. And information and air and dirty laundry is two different things.
That's the that's the purpose of closed session. Under no circumstances would I want anyone online or in this room to be privy to confidential information that has transpired between HR, EDC, and the employee. You know, we need, I mean, if that's the case, we need to have a closed session to talk about personnel matters. But we don't want to hamper an employee in no matter for future employment. And if we sit and air laundry, you know, in a public setting, that could harm her future employment. And we don't want to do that. So if we put, you know, a whole and research and come together and talk about personnel matters, we always talk about, unless the person wants it, we talk about personnel matters in a closed session. But we don't want to do anything to harm her in terms of her future or any other employee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A closed session probably would have made a lot of sense before proceeding. The opportunity was there. The opportunity was there. It would have been imperative in informing the rest of the board. That's not what took place. Those board members came up and said that they knew nothing of what was taking place.
I make a motion.
So can I just respond to that? Councilman Williams?
Can we go forward?
Closed session was an option. It was an option and that was not received.
It was an option for the employee, right? Right, and that's saying that the discussion around what's on the docket can still be discussed, but I'd prefer to be discussed openly as opposed to in the closed meeting, right? And those members still said that they didn't know what was going on as they were requesting more information about why this decision was being made.
Correct.
Because there was no closed session.
Because there was no closed session, so the discussion around it wasn't supposed to stop. It's supposed to go on in spite of the decision of having the closed session.
And it didn't.
And it did not. And those members did not know because they could have voted the other way. They could have voted and said, yeah, you're right. We need to make this decision. That did not happen.
So a motion to approve the motion to remove the EDC Board of Directors for cause. It's already made, so we need to go forward.
That motion is already pending before the council.
Okay, it's pending. Well, do I need to second it so we continue to move on?
No, so the motion is already pending. What I think you're asking
It's
is
pending.
is
We need
to
to
end
do a
the
vote. We're not going, we need to amend it? What do
No,
you
no,
mean?
So someone has already motioned to approve the agenda item. It has been seconded. What I think you're asking is you want to call a question and effectively end debate. So you can do that, and if that's seconded, and then you need a 2/3 vote.
Okay.
All right.
City Clerk Domingo again, call the question.
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Davis,
No,
French,
No,
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
No. So again, I think kind of going back to Councilman's French's suggestion for tabling until we can get information, move forward, because again, this is outside of council's authority. This is not an appropriate action for us to try to take on. You.
why would I make a motion?
No,
Point of order.
to kind of go back to
Right,
is the thought
I
process.
thought that was just gonna come in under future agenda items. I'm sorry.
That's not really, did you say something?
No, I just didn't want us interacting with the audience.
So I as well would like to table. So that we could get. More information. Get more. Maybe it'd be easier to talk with Attorney Harkness is present. I think. His assumption was that we were gonna go into closed session. To discuss. But that didn't happen. We could definitely look at having another date set to do this. That is something that I would highly encourage. Councilman Prince, are you gonna say something?
Do you need a motion at this time?
I made the motion to table.
Okay, I will second. Even though it doesn't need one.
That way we can get to a point. Yeah, Councilman Williams.
Yeah, I think I'm supposed to say point of order on that as well. We gotta put a date on the table. So we can come back in 2 weeks, I mean, not 2 weeks, but we need to set a date if we're gonna have further discussion. Or we can discuss this during the future agenda items if we're at that point.
Cause there's nothing else to talk about.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Would you be agreeable to a closed session at the next council?
I honestly think we probably should discuss this in future agenda items. I think you maybe have a future agenda item.
That's what I was saying. I would like to schedule, I mean, whether we do it under the future agenda items, I would like to have a closed session in which Cullen Harkness is present. If we need to get the attorney for the EDC present, if we need to, you know, if there are other people who have information that can help us sort of tease out what's going on before we make this decision, I would appreciate that.
Yes, the future agenda items, you know, when we have the next meeting, I would like for both attorneys to be present. If possible.
Councilman Williams?
Yeah, so we are on the future agenda items, so that I'm clear.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay, perfect. All right, so
What is,
Yes.
so the vote's still
can
on
you
the
tell
table?
us what's on the table and what's going on? Can you
So
explain?
we are voting to table so that we could have both attorneys present if possible. Looking to table for next
Till next.
Monday. Is that,
For the closed session?
yes,
Okay, but let's say this, clarity for where we're at currently. The vote did not pass. Right,
That's correct.
the vote did not pass because it needed to pass by 2/3,
Super
Right.
majority.
right? So
That was only to call the question.
yeah, to call the question.
to call the question,
Yes.
5 votes.
oh, so we still haven't voted on,
We have not voted on
okay,
this agenda item.
gotcha,
Yeah, that's why I'm like,
okay, yeah, and that's what I'm saying, it's
that's what
just
you
got,
did too. You
Yeah.
didn't know why.
we got too much.
Because we just going in and out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so
We.
further discussion,
So the discussion that we're at is to
table,
table,
okay,
in which, you know, hopefully that council is agreeable that we could have this done with both attorneys actually present to ask questions, to get information. And that way, hopefully, a lot of the answers that you are looking for can be given to you. Councilwoman Lawler.
Thank you so much. We already had an opinion. So I don't think we need a lot of that. It's just my opinion. We talk about years of experience of these people that are on the board that are named on this agenda item. But the CEO had lots of years of experience.
I didn't hear that one.
Lots of years.
Lots of years.
She's got experience, lots of years of experience. And we're sitting here talking about years of experience of these people that are on the EDC board. You know, it's really, to me, my opinion is a dagger in the heart when you talk about years of experience. And this lady has years of experience and was doing a good job at it. But we already had an opinion. We had opinion on the screen. We had 2 opinions in our email. What other opinion do we need? What we agreed on, there was a lack of transparency. What else do we need?
I was before.
She was.
I was before, yeah, I was before. Attorney Harkness, question for you. I know we've talked about it, but I need it to be heard. I mean, people to hear me ask you again. So do you have any other information that was given to you about what we're talking about right now at this present time?
I mean, you have my written opinion, which has been submitted to all of you, and that's still subject to attorney-client privilege, so I mean, I won't go into the details of it.
Right, correct.
So, I
But you
mean,
don't have anything else is what I'm saying. What you've already given to us, do you have anything else?
I can expound on the opinion a little bit. I won't do that in an open session. I mean, there's, I guess what I would say to council is this. The legal aspect of it aside, I think if you're having a discussion to table, I think you should be more specific. In the sense that, kind of like what I think you're trying to get at, Councilwoman Jackson, sorry, it's been a long Tuesday. Is I think council is, if you're looking for additional information, you should specifically identify what it is that you want for the next meeting. Identify where that's going to come from, whether it's the EDC board or city staff or either one of the attorneys. And then, if you decide to, bring this to the next meeting, that way you have specifically identified, oh, okay, well, we're going to deal with this at the next meeting. And this is what we want to know.
Okay, so you answered my question and everyone heard that. So we had one behind closed session. We wouldn't have got any more information than we've already got. Okay, so that, he said he would have expounded on it. He just can't expound on what he has given us to everyone else, because that's privy. He can't do that. But there's nothing additional that he has to give us that would tie into this to make a different decision than what we have already made on today. That was what I was cleared with him, and I've already talked about him, and I've already talked. Okay. All right. So that's why I came the way I did with information that I had, hoping that we would come together on this decision. So now we're going to play the little devil advocate and allow them to give us this and give us a little bit of that so that it can satisfy us of leaving them on the board when we don't have anything concrete today, not even from our own lawyer. Our attorney is what I'm saying. And I don't think we can scoot over that. So I'm gonna let him go to that, because I don't need to hear nothing else. I'm just saying exactly what is being said right now, because we don't have anything else.
So the specific information I'm looking for is the cause, the reason or reasons plural that the EDC director was terminated. I want to know that, because if she was doing, what were her performance measures as provided to her by the EDC board? Did she make those? What is it? What is the reason, given her acceptable evaluation X number of months ago, that would lead to her termination? That is what I want to know. Because the reality is that it's not our authority, but it seems that we have members of council who think that it is to do that. So I'm going to say that's what I want to know. I want to know that by next Monday, and I don't care who it comes from, whether it comes from the attorney of the EDC, whether it comes from the chair of the EDC, whether it comes from the human resources director of the EDC, and I want that to happen in the closed session.
That's all well and good. The bottom line is, what power do we actually have? Okay, do we have the power to remove the EDC board of directors? Do we have the power? That's why I asked for both attorneys to be here, because it was clear when I read the statements that we do not. It's clear when we talked to Colin that we do not. Once we get this information, what are we going to do with the power we don't have?
Well said.
In the video, Cullen stated that it was a council's decision what a cause was. I talked to Cullen. Cullen said, Marcola, you have to have a cause. I have a cause.
But it's not our cause.
I have a cause for the city of Albion. Do I need to read it again?
Please don't.
Okay. Cause I'm just saying, but we have a stance to stand for the city of Albion. If the evaluation, the expectations on her evaluations was met, that should actually be a question. That really should answer your question.
So we could have more information brought forward. Because the evaluation that Councilwoman Waller speaks of, that was done, and I can't remember how many months ago. I'm trying to remember, and I could be wrong, maybe like 5.
You talking about the evaluation?
Yeah.
I mean, he said up there that it, well, she mentioned it 2.5 or whatever, and it didn't meet.
Yeah,
was-
so, but I'm saying like, I'm trying to remember how long ago that was done. That maybe like 5 or 6 months ago.
No, I'm thinking, can I have a board member speak to that here? Can tell you that?
Like, so,
You got 2 of them here.
yeah, and I'm remembering that it was done, it was her 6-month evaluation, and we're coming up on her.
Thought it was just,
We're coming up on her, and would have been her anniversary date. So that was about 6 months ago that evaluation was done.
Okay.
So, 5 or 6 months ago.
No.
So,
3 or 4. 2 or 3.
Recently,
so I think about, and I would have to go back, I can't remember.
can we ask the board member?
I mean, Vicky, do you remember when it was March?
March 31.
So that's not next month.
It's like,
So by the thirty.
From July,
5 months
August,
ago.
5 months ago.
5 months ago. So, I mean, there could have been things that transpired since then. Again, like I said, we could get more information. If this could get tabled.
What do
And then
you,
we could also
what information do you
From
need?
the executive committee, the process that they took. That
I'd
should
like
be,
to know, did everybody on there have the opportunity to give their evaluation of her?
Yeah.
Oh, that tells me something.
so do we even take a vote on the table?
I might
Yes.
have.
I'm sorry, Councilman Muller?
So, Mr. French, Councilmember French, I'm sorry. Can you tell me again, what is it that you would like to, know? Because what I did hear you say was, you don't know why she was terminated, right? Am I correct?
I would like to,
Correct me.
I would like in a closed session to understand the rationale provided by the executive committee of the board of the EDC for Virgie's termination. Why was she terminated?
So,
Because she was terminated, presumably, I don't know, for cause. I would like to know what that cause is.
thank you so much for that. So my comment to that is, today we're talking about 4 members of the EDC. That I think did not fulfill, their position, if I can say that. And I have a couple reasons, and one of them we agreed on.
Mhm.
So, it's about what this board did, really. The EDC can really, they have their opinion of why, but I have my opinion of why too. So, I'm not being rude to you, Mr. French. I promise you I'm not. But this is not right. Whatever they felt of why they terminated the CEO, but I feel right here today that whatever decision that they made, I feel like these 4 reasons is my cause. And Cullen said I had to have a cause. And I have it. So you asked for another study session, closed session or whatever, to get more information. For what? We already had an opinion on the screen. Both of the attorneys gave us one. I think the more we get information, the more y'all trying to change our mind. There's something wrong with this.
But
I know it is.
Information better though?
Did you, I was gonna let, you'll be right.
So I am saying, she met the qualifications. A person met the qualifications. I won't say a name, because I don't want to do that. There was a lack of transparency. We all know that. Four members knew, a couple members knew, and a couple members didn't. There was nothing shared with other board members. That's on video if they watched that meeting that day. There were so many business people out here that day at that EDC meeting. How could she have not fulfilled her obligation? A whole bunch of people came out and spoke highly of her. So I don't see why there was a lack of transportation. Why you didn't give us some of the information? Right, we can't know it all, but we can know something. We can know something.
So my response is this. If I find no cause, you get the vote. Right? You don't have the votes to get this to happen. So all I'm asking for, and all I'm asking for is time. That's all I'm asking for. Time and some more information. And I don't want to rush to judgment because it will send this city on a path that I'm not excited about. So
You guys, you got it.
So that's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking.
Mayor Pro Tem Jackson?
Yes, and council member Andy French, I get it. But also just as a whole, everybody's still yet listening. The one thing that we all have heard, and we need to continue to hear that, especially the council members, she waived the closed session. So if she waived the closed session, they had that opportunity to give all of what they needed to give to this whole audience and to us what she had did wrong, because she waived it. That is where I'm at. She waived it, council member French. She waived it. So there's a cause right there. That information could have been opened up, and then those other EDC board members, they would have known what they needed to vote on before they voted. And then here we go. There was a transparency. I mean, she allowed that to happen here that day. She allowed them to be transparent because she didn't care what you guys knew. She wanted it to be opened up. So that's why I will continue to say, Mr. French, if we go behind closed doors or we stay right here, something's going on that's wrong. And if we don't try to fix it or help it, we're doing the same thing. Because this lady said, I've waived the closed session, meaning spill what I did wrong. Spill it. Tell everybody what I did wrong. And then you had even a member or two say, okay, can we just, like you say, table this? They didn't want to hear nothing they had to say, but they were still saying, Chairman, we don't know what you're talking about. Include us in, add us into this. If you can tell us what you're talking about, then we can be on the same page as you are on or not. Councilmember Lawler gave you a call. And I do believe I gave you a little bit more to think about anyway. Because if we continue to go behind closed doors again, we don't even have anything right now. So I'm not going to suggest, I'm not going to assume, but I am going to say, we don't need to be digging up nothing. They should already have it. I'm just saying, they should already have it. And we can go and skirt on and on with the lawyers saying, this person say, but both of those lawyers are still saying the same thing. You gotta have a cause. And if there's a cause, they gotta fight the cause before they can sue somebody. It says cause. And Attorney Hartman said the same thing to me. It has to be a cause. He says, well, if you got a cause, then okay. And he left it as that. Because his job, that Attorney Hartman is to defend us. He represents us. I know you got something else to say about that, but go ahead.
Councilman Fred?
Well, yeah, and I would agree with Mayor Pro Tem Jackson that the attorney is here to protect us. And here we are as a council doing something that we don't have the authority to do. You're asking us to do something we don't have the authority to do.
He said if we had a cause.
But his opinion said he did not think we had sufficient cause.
Because of what was turned, no,
Okay,
because of,
Mayor and Council, I need to remind you, the memo that you have from the city attorney's office is subject to attorney-client privilege, so it's inappropriate to discuss the contents at
You're
a
right.
session.
Sorry.
yeah, because you opened up the doors.
Councilman Davis?
You know, as I sit here, I listen to us, discuss. I'm wondering, why aren't we discussing it with the EDC board? We're hashing this out over ourselves, amongst ourselves, when we don't have the power to hire or fire. Why aren't we talking to the EDC board? They're the ones who did it. They're the ones who are in charge. They're the ones who have the HR expertise or the information that we may not have. So what are we doing? What are we going to get out of this if we don't have the authority to make the necessary change that we're talking about? Why aren't we talking to the people who made the decision in the first place? Community can come together and meet with the EDC board and say, this is how we feel. They're the ones who made the decision. We can't hire and we can't fire. Right? Is that what I'm hearing over and over again? But we're discussing amongst ourselves what should happen when we really don't have authority.
Get it. Get it.
Thank you so much. We do have the power if we have a cause. We have a cause.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
It's a matter of opinion.
Hey, take it or leave it.
We have a cause. But again, even if, so that we don't have the authority. Not even if we don't have the authority to do that. To a point of removal. Councilman Rowley?
Thank you so much. So, Cullen, when I talk to you, would you tell me, Marcola, you have to have a cause, and if you have a cause, okay. Did you say that to me, Cullen?
Councilwoman Lawler, the conversations and advice that I give you
Okay.
are subject to attorney-client privilege. That this would have been a good discussion to have in a closed session. So unfortunately, I can't
Okay.
discuss
Thank you
those.
so much. Well, what I'm reading right here, it says that we have to have a cause. And if we have a cause, then we move forward.
Can we move on?
We have one. We can remove if we have a cause.
We need to move on. So where we at? Who's there? The future agenda items.
We have to,
Councilman French.
do we need to make a motion to table?
So the resolution table,
Say it again, Mayor, I didn't hear you.
there was a motion to table. And,
For
Gotta have two.
table 4, can you tell us what we tabling for?
yeah, table this to next Monday's council meeting. You know, we can, like we had said, we can ask to get clarity on the process. We can ask if because like we said, more information is always better before a decision. Because you are all coming and asking questions that we could bring forward information to help answer. So we have a motion to table. We'll go ahead and vote on it. City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Jackson. No. Waller,
No.
Davis,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Williams,
No.
Reed,
No.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes.
I gotta get some more reading.
We're gonna continue to go around the outside. For the motion is to,
I thought we had to get through the call to question.
Is it 10 minutes? Yeah, talking about it's a 10-minute, they're saying now there's a 10-minute limit on discussion. That's what they're saying.
Point of order. There's a lot of chatter in the audience.
Oh,
Thank you.
got a vote?
we'll go ahead. If there is a motion in support to move forward with the removal of PDC Board of Directors. Can we go?
Councilmember Lawler,
Yes.
Davis,
No.
French,
No.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
No. Future agenda items.
I would still like clarity.
Madam Mayor, do we need a supermajority for
No.
this one? So, okay,
Just on this table.
okay.
Public comment.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have a future agenda item.
Okay.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Okay. Future agenda item, discussion and approval of investigation into the termination of the EDC CEO Virgie Ammerman. I request that the investigation be overseen by a third-party organization. Now, keep in mind that this is a approval and discussion, but I'd imagine if we put that in there, then that's what we'll vote on.
Any other future agenda items? Right, this time we'll open it up to public comment. If there's anybody within the gallery that would like to stand and address council, proper decorum is required. You can stand, state your name, address, 3 minutes is yours.
Garrett Brown, 1016 South Superior Street. I've actually been out of the loop and plan to stay out of the loop, but I just, from secondhand knowledge in the community, I know how much Virgie's presence in the community has helped. So that's really why I showed up at the last meeting, in this meeting, and didn't plan to speak, but just a couple of things that were some inaccuracies that concern me. So currently, the EDC board has 11 seats on it, 10 of them were filled. So a majority in that case would be 6. If you remove, if you, even in the case of removing the 4, you still have 6 members left. So the board is not incapacitated, there's still a quorum, 6 is still the majority of 11. So I'm not understanding what kind of lawyering EDC's lawyer is doing if supposing they're saying there's not gonna be a quorum, because I was looking at the bylaw, so I'm confused by that. Also, I was listening to the video and of Cullen's comments, and he said in there, basically, the bylaws in the EDC are a starting point, but then it said basically anything that the council thought would call into question the director's ability to perform their duties. So again, I'm trying to figure out how what was said wouldn't fall into that. And then, if there was one cause, because a lot of times spent talking about causes, one of the concerns I've always had in this whole process since the hiring of Ms. Ammerman was the search firm that was selected did not meet the qualifications for the RFP that the EDC put out. So if you had to have in the past 36 months have successfully placed an administrator for a government position, and Williamson Consulting did not meet that criteria, the board erred, or the majority of the board of the EDC board erred in hiring that firm to do the search. So that's just sitting right there, that's a cause right there. So I think the last thing I'll say is please consult the council rules, because Rule 7C says that in the context of a discussion of agenda item, each member is given up to 10 minutes. So you can't have a situation where members just like filibuster, go on and on and on to harass their colleagues. So once you have max 10 minutes, then you actually have to have the board, the council members vote to allow you to continue to go beyond 10 minutes. So it shouldn't be a thing where we just try to wear down each other in conversation. So yeah, you're right. You need 5 votes to end discussion, but there is a 10-minute limit on comments from council members. Rule 7C.
We wrote. I wasn't keeping track of time. I'm Rick Lang. I live at 810 Haven Road. I've gotten acquainted with Virgie since the time she's been here. We're not close, and I don't work with her. I think she's done an impressive job. I know her mom a lot better, so she comes from good stock. But I was surprised and saddened when I heard of her termination. But as bad as that is, I'm really concerned that the council has made a bad situation worse if they don't have the authority to remove those directors. And I hope to have that we can get through this.
Good evening. My name is Virgie Ammerman, 305 East Main Street, Homer, Michigan. I'll try to make this quick. Bylaws for the EDC, Article 2, Section 4E, removal of the incumbents. This is the Board of Directors, not the CEO. By act of the Albion City Council for cause provided by law, including without limitation these circumstances. You can read the circumstances, including but not limited to. I think I would, if I were me, I would recommend reading the oath that the EDC members take and making sure that as a group, they are maintaining that oath to the city. I do believe in this case, that it was not transparent. And I would love to have you do some investigation as to why the termination occurred, because I also would like to know. I have not been made aware. I think the statement made of stability is one that carries a lot of virtue. We are incredibly unstable, as I was removed from my position at 10 o'clock last Thursday. And I have no idea whether those initiatives that I have started and you all are working with me are in motion. I am very concerned about that. I think I would make a recommendation, if you so care to the EDC board to consider an interim. And I would happy to be that person, because there is no reason that I can't serve in that role. I think we would have no problem filling new members. I'm sorry, is my time up? We would have no problem filling new members. I think we have an entire galley full here. We had about 50 at the last meeting, and we have people already who have applied and have not been appointed, and we've got an opening that has been sitting empty. I love this city. Whatever I've done, I'm sorry. It'd be nice to know, but we need to work on conflict resolution, not just firing people.
Folks, we can remember in the gallery, we're not supposed to, talk or have applause or things like that when comments are made. Is there anybody else that would like to address council?
Albert Amos, 400 Baroque Street here in Albion, Michigan. Out to support Virgie. And then, as I seen how things ran today and how I continue to hear Mr. French as well as Ms. Davis and the mayor wanting to slow things down and put things on hold and try to get more information. I wish that had been the case last week before the fight. You know what I'm saying? I wish somebody had the wherewithal to say, hey, look here, let's pump the brakes, let's stop this, let's really see, what's going on. Because the question was continued to be asked, what's the cause? Why is she being fired after she had met the requirements of the evaluation? And so here we are again, back and forth, around and around, and it just appears that we have an issue with working with one another. It seems like we have an issue with understanding one another, and then it also seems like sometimes we have an issue with really understanding our jobs and our positions on the boards that we're on. And so maybe we need to spend more time studying the requirements of our positions on the boards that we're on. I just hope and pray that we reconsider the firing of Virgie and we get her back in place and continue to move things forward, because this truly is the greatest opportunity that Albion has ever had. And it appears that we might be blowing it because of I don't know, personal interests, personal conflicts, or something like that. So I'm just hoping that we can get it together. And if the people that's on the board that's supposed to be representing the city of Albion can't do the job, then they should be removed. And get somebody in that can do the job. I also thought that all of you guys and the various boards that we have in the city were there to represent the citizens of the city. Well, I think we have less than 8,000 people here in our population, and it was maybe 40 or 50 people showed up. So that tells me that at least a half percentage of your entire population showed up and said, hey, look here, we feel like Virgie is doing a great job, and they failed to listen. Thank you.
Vicky Clark, 310 Austin. Mr. French, you was not privy to the meeting, and I appreciate you being persistent in what you were asking. I did the same thing in the meeting. I did the same thing over and over again in the meeting. I also spoke to colleagues after this, people on the board, and I'm not going to say specifics of who said what, but two of the people told me, frankly, that they were comfortable with making the decision without letting me know why it was being made. One of the other board members spoke to me and said, I wasn't aware that you didn't know. And actually, I don't know all the information either. So based on that is what was done wrong. That's the only thing that who's to say that after I was given the information that my decision couldn't have changed. But I wanted the opportunity to get the information. And some people didn't think it was necessary. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Tina Williams, 414 North Huron. I just want to say thank you to our council members who heard the concerns of our community as they were expressed the other day and expressed today and expressed to you leading up to today. A lot of times we see things happen in our community and we feel powerless to change it. We feel powerless to correct the wrong. And so I want to say thank you for being courageous enough to come forward and try to correct the wrong today. Thank you.
Hello, I'm James Sorgi. I have a manufacturing plant here in town. I know I've been working with Virgie pretty heavy on what I hope is going to be coming here. And I think most people here know that Marshall is going to do very well. And a lot of, I think the overflow will come this way. I feel as though we had some pretty good meetings already. And I think if this happens, it's going to go backwards really quick. If we don't have somebody on board to take over, at least where we're at. Pretty important. I think we lost enough jobs in this town. I think we should be going the other way. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nathaniel Bogan, and I live at 1006 Fairlane Drive. I know Virgie really well, and I'm very impressed with her honesty, her openness, and her desire to see Albion grow. I think at the bottom of all this, we all should be concerned about the health of this city and how we can make it improve. I was recommended to get on the board, and I filed an application on the EDC board, and I'm still waiting to hear on whether or not they're going to accept my application. But I do have a caveat with that. I was only interested because of Virgie. And when I found out that she was terminated, my interest went way down to want to represent anyone on the EDC. This city has a bad reputation, and that does not help our reputation as far as the perspective or the perception that we want to make things better for all the citizens of Albion. So my concern is, if this was really about making things better, this meeting tonight should have never happened. Business should have been taken care of before she was terminated. And if people was concerned about people's time and people matter, and you really want to make things better for the city, we can't be wasting people's time. And this has been a lot of waste of a lot of people's time, yours included. And I think you should value people's time. If you don't value them. So the city is going through some serious issues about how to handle what we need to do to make Albion better. But if we can't get our laundry clean in the open, that dirty laundry that you guys have been talking about, you're hiding bodies, it looks like. And the body that needs to be identified, you don't want to be identified. So how can we move on when you're still covering up situations that need to be exposed? It only brings about a stink and a smell, and it makes everything look bad for this whole entire city. This meeting never should have happened tonight. We should not be here discussing what these calls for eliminating four of these members. If Virginia had been treated right, this would have never happened. And that's my concern.
My name is Esther McGear, 805 Huntington Boulevard. Losing Virgie is going to take you down so far, you're not going to be able to get up. This town doesn't have jobs, it doesn't have creation. She's working to get grants. She's got grants. She's helped us with our project, helped us with a realtor, growing our business, starting a business to get jobs here. And all of a sudden, somebody's working this hard and you're gonna get rid of them when you haven't had anybody here. I was on EDC board when I moved here 20 years ago and they did nothing. That's why I stepped down. Now you got somebody that's gonna work, that's been doing a good job and working with everyone, whole community. Doesn't make any difference if you're black, you're white, Hispanic, she will work with you. And now you're talking about getting rid of her. Who are you gonna get to replace her? You got people that want somebody to do what they tell them to do. And it's not gonna help the city. She's doing what's gonna help Albion to grow this town. We lost the kids, we lost the schools, we lost everything. Trying to build it back up and then you're gonna tear it down. Do what you need to do. But I'll tell you what, election time is coming up. And if I have my way, anybody that takes us down like this, they will not get it back in office. Vote them out.
Charmaine Bogan, 1006 Fairlane Drive, Albion. I'm here to support Virgie. What I know about her is that she's a hard worker. What I know about her is that she loves this city and she's doing her best to bring us up. I get tired of having to drive outside of the city of Albion for everything I need. I don't go to Family Fair unless I'm tired of driving to Jackson or to Battle Creek. We have brought businesses in that only serve a smaller amount of people. We have another grocery store that most people don't even go to. If I want to save some money, I'll go to Jackson, I'll go to Myers. You know, I'm tired of that. And I get tired of being out of town, sometimes in Detroit, and I have to tell someone, well, I live in Albion. Well, where is that? You know, most people don't, it's not like we're not even on the map. If you have someone that wants to work hard, I'm not sure who said it, but it might be the mayor said, there is money to be had. Where's the money coming from? Who brought the money in? Who's working hard to get money in the city of Albion? From my understanding, Virgie is working hard so we can have some resources to do something. We got a bakery here. I go to Hinckley's. I think the bakery in Hinckley and Jackson is better than Albion. I'm tired of going outside of the city of Albion to do most of the things I have to do. So I am in support, and I agree with Ms. McGear that when election time comes, that's going to tell. If we don't do what we need to do to keep people who are willing to work hard, then we'll vote you out of office. And I think everyone should have their opinion. I agree. But that's part of what's wrong with the world right now, because we're like fighting each other. We're in a little bitty city and we can't get things done that need to be done. So that's all I have to say. And I hope that you will look at what you had as far as a citizen, a hard worker in Virgie, and reinstate her. Let's talk about it. Let's do what we have to do to get one that's working hard back to do what they know how to do.
Good evening. My name is Tracy K. Tolbert. I live at 558 Riley Street in Lansing, Michigan. I own a business or a building, it's not a business yet, at 618 Austin Avenue. It's in the second precinct, Lynn Reed's precinct. And I too love Albion. I grew up here. I was raised here and I knew when it was a bustling city. And now it's really down. We have no hospital. We have no real, well, we have a grocery stores, but the prices are really high. And one of the things that I want to know is who has the authority to appoint and terminate the EDC board members? And when, will that be done? I know there are vacancies, someone said, or people have applied. When will that take place? And last week, I believe it was, because I was here, we had people come up and speak in favor of Virgie, all the people that she interacted with, all of the companies that she has worked with, all of the people, the battery place. I want to know how we're going to move forward, how we're going to continue to have more progress. And I want Albion not to be an economically disadvantaged area. Everywhere around us is booming. Marshall is growing. Jackson is improving. Battle Creek. We need to focus on Albion. We need to focus on all the citizens. Over on the second precinct, in the area where my building is, it is so downtrodden. And Virgie is working with people to try and help build that area back up. I think we need to look at that. And she came up and said she'd be willing to be the interim. I don't want progress to stop because there's no one there. I've had 3 people that were for the Albion Economic Development Center since I started working on trying to renovate my building. I think we need to make sure that we don't have things stop. We need to make sure it moves forward. And all those people that came and spoke and said how Virgie had an impact on them deciding to partner with Albion, that should have spoke volumes to the people that made the decision last week to remove her. Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to stand and make a public comment? Council member comments? We have a motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned 8:11 p.m.
Put your mic on.